Year, she's always on my mind, and I was sitting at my desk thinking I must give Sharon Kenny a call and see if she's up for a chat on the 14th of February. And I'm not joking you. The next thing, you know that thing you say when you're a child, I swear, the phone rang. Bingo! Wasn't it Sharon, who is Ireland's best known and most successful matchmaker? And to cut a longer story short, Sharon says, Jerry, I want to join you on Thursday to talk about passion. Not love, says I. No, she says, it's all about passion. Well, she's here with me today. We're going to hear more about it. Sharon Kenny, you're very
Hi,
welcome.
Jerry. Lovely to be here again.
Oh, great to have you with us as well. Why passion rather than love today?
Because love has to start with yourself, and passion, that love of being yourself and knowing yourself and being passionate about something. And sometimes it's not about who you're passionate about first, it's passionate about yourself first. So if you don't start with passion with you, you're not going to be able to share that passion with anyone. So it doesn't matter. Like what happened was you came up in a picture on my Twitter and you were holding a big fish, and I was saying there's Jerry with his passion and his big fish, and then you have something to go back and talk to your wife about and look at my fish and look at the amount of spots on it and look at the amount of, and it's that long.
You know you're fishing for sure.
Yeah.
I remember that snap was taken last year on Loch Arrow, and it was a beautiful trout I got, admittedly, that day.
Yeah, it did have
But
spots.
I am passionate about it. Angling
Yeah.
is one of the things I'm passionate about in my life. Do you believe that people with passions, for example, fishing, that leads as a segue into being passionate when it comes to the human connection and interaction?
Absolutely. And today, before I came here, I was in Slane. I met a lovely gentleman, and I said to him, because it's going to be a question I'm going to ask everyone in future, what is your passion? And he said, passion? Sure, I'm so busy with the farm. And I said, have you got a passion about the farm? And he said, I've got 4 brothers on the farm. And I said, is there any, and he's actually listening in, and is there anyone in particular? And he said, that you're any animal, I do a bit of everything. And he said, the cattle, I just love the cattle, the way they create calves, the way they create milk. So he says, I never talked about this before. I never thought of talking about this. And before he was saying, I don't know, I work hard, you know yourself, you get through one day, you get on to the next day. I said, get out of that habit. Start finding the things you're passionate about, because with passion, then you've more gratitude. And with gratitude, you've more love coming into your life. And so passion does lead to love. And with love for yourself, I'm talking about. And the more love that comes into your life for yourself, the more you attract love, because it's back to the law of attraction then. And what you give out comes back to you.
So it's not about being a Mars bar. You've heard that saying where somebody says that they're that in love with themselves, they'd eat themselves if they got the chance. It's not that.
No, absolutely not. It's about just being so happy in your own skin. That, your confidence. So if it doesn't matter whether you're baking a cake and it's the best cake in the shop or wherever, or it doesn't matter what you do, but once you love doing it and you put your best effort into it, because by doing that, no matter if you're married 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, if you've got a passion that you can sit down and say, do you know what? I'm the best at baking cakes. I'm the best at catching that fish. It's just to stand outside and get outside your comfort zone and push yourself to the best of your limit, whatever you're good at.
Now, I want to read the definition of passion. I just thought this would be appropriate when you're talking about it, and this is from the Oxford English. It says, passion is a feeling of intense enthusiasm towards or compelling desire. Let me start that again. Passion is a feeling of intense enthusiasm towards or compelling desire for someone or something. Passion can range from eager interest in or admiration for an idea, proposal or cause, to enthusiastic enjoyment of an interest or activity, to strong attraction, excitement or emotion towards a person. So there's a gambit there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And it is about that inner gut feeling. This really resonates with me and I get excited about it, and I've got more gist in my life. I've got more bubble in my whole body, and that kind of feeling. There's something special there, and I can do this, and I can do it better than anyone, or do it to the best of your ability. You don't have to be the best at it. Just love doing it.
Can you have a number of passions? I was just thinking about this. I'm passionate about a few things now. You know, I have to say, I'm passionate about sport. I'm passionate about, and angling is a pastime and a hobby. I love my gardening as well, as people know. Can you have a number?
Yes, you can. And it doesn't matter. It's like the more you try of anything, the better you get at different things. So you can be passionate about one thing. You see people with their triathlons and they just stick to their triathlons.
That's obsessive, isn't it? That's a real obsessive one, yeah.
And that's okay. You can do that. But there's nothing like trying out other things. Like I love art. So I will, and I gave it up for 20 years. The amount of people who've been passionate about things in their 20s and they've stopped it. And then when some hiccup comes into their life and they think, what else do I have? Or what? They will always go back to their 20s and pick up that thing again if they're open to trying new things. And
you mentioned a hiccup. I'm probably thinking a woman is thinking, yes, he's a hiccup, all right. He came into my life some time ago, or maybe vice versa.
Yeah.
But the other thing to say about this as well, there has to be balance, doesn't there, as well? You have your passions,
yes,
but you need to understand that there's a relationship and that has to be nurtured with a passion as well. Because some people become obsessive and the other takes a back seat.
Okay, back to the idea of the triathlon person. So that person can get obsessive with that and say, on Saturday and Sunday mornings or whatever, I go cycling with the group. And because of that, as much as I want a relationship, you have to learn to balance things. And I'm starting this passion board and teaching people how to do a passion board. And it can be a daily, a weekly. If you look up the matchmaker.ie, it'll be all over it. But it's a board and you do, I'm grateful for, and you have to have your gratitude part, because that makes you appreciate how you accomplish things rather than think, oh, that was a rotten week or it didn't go well. And then you have to do your to-do list and you start with what you don't want to do first and the important things on that list and get that out of the way. And just realize that when people say, oh, sure, it's another week gone by, what's happened? But then you can look at this and say, wow, I've accomplished that. Wow, it doesn't matter whether it's going cycling for 10 minutes a day and then a week later 15 and then a week later 20. It doesn't matter what you do. But once you get outside your comfort zone and develop a passion for something.
Is it important to have actually passions besides the passion in a relationship?
It is, because that's where you see relationships go stale because people don't have enough going on in their own life. And it's important to be happy and content in yourself. And to get 3 circles the right size is what it's about. And it's linked to the Trinity, 3 circles linking together. And that very center bit of the 3 circles is your soul and your happiness within your soul. So one circle is our work. The other circle is ourselves. And that's really 100% you. And the other is your relationships. And if one of those circles are unbalanced, you should try to get them all the same size. So work harder at that one that you're not paying attention to. So you actually mentioned back to Valentine's. There's so many people who say, is it important? Or, should I do anything about it? And it is so important to remember that person all the time. Like you mentioned
Danny, you were listening. I know Sharon was out in the hall listening to that story earlier on to Danny and Joan and the reaction that has brought to us as well.
Oh, it's shocking to think that someone loses someone and they didn't get to say that they loved that person. And it is so important to look into your partner's eyes or your husband's eyes or and say, did I tell you today how much I appreciate you for this? It's just a bit of gratitude and appreciation to make that other person feel better. And I promise you, you'll feel better in yourself because you'll realize you gave that person some extra hope of love and appreciation.
So you're saying today, if you do one thing, this is a message you want to send out today. Tell the person that you love, that you love them today.
Yes, absolutely. You love them.
Just do that.
Yes.
Never mind cards or flowers. And if you only made that gesture.
Make the card. You don't have to spend money. Make the card. Make it out of a hanky, make a heart. Do something that you wouldn't normally do. And they go, okay, they'll probably say, what's wrong with you? They probably think you're going mental or something. But do something that you wouldn't normally do for your wife if you haven't given her a flower or a card. Make it out of a tissue. It doesn't matter. do something that just says, I appreciate what you've been doing here for me, and I'm here for you as well.
So today it is very important to acknowledge this day. You know, people say, oh, it's a commercial thing, and the restaurants and the card makers and the flower people. Of course they are.
Yeah.
But there is a real point in the 14th of February.
Absolutely. Now, I won't be going out to dinner tonight because I actually do believe it's too commercial. And I believe it puts so much pressure on us to, oh, look at those people at the table beside us and what are they doing? And look, they're smiling and talking and you're not talking to me enough. And why aren't you talking to me enough? And you're driving me crazy because you're not giving me enough attention. So that kind of pressure can build up. And I've seen it when I'm out. And actually, you know, it's tiring. So it's about enjoying your company with your person, and you don't have to do it tonight. You can go and say, you know, let's go out and have a really nice lunch on Sunday. It doesn't have to be about spending. Now, it is commercial because even when I was down in Slane, the prices of going out for a 3-course meal was absolutely insane. And I was thinking, gee, Dublin is cheaper than Slane. But we have to take the commerciality out of it if we don't like that part and say, you know, let's just get a takeaway and a movie and just hug each other. And remember to hug. And remember to give that person that little bit of a kiss. But the most important thing is then try to remember doing it a little more than you've done it before.
Make this as the beginning of the change.
Absolutely.
From this day on. Isn't she great? I love when she comes to late lunch and we have a chat. She's going to stay with us a little while longer. I want to ask you, have you a passion in your life? Are you a passionate person? Do you have a passion? If you have, let us. Okay, that's the last ad there, and then we're back. Great. So, you're flying anyway. You're meeting, you know, introducing people. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But then you're dealing with expectations, and there's always going to be a few that you can't sort. Like that farmer that I was talking to. Gee, I'm not on air anywhere.
No, you're not, no.
Honestly, it's going to be so hard. So I'm getting him to do this thing, 36 questions to love. And I'm going to send him questions and learn about himself.
Absolutely. Here we go. You are back on. Sharon Kenny's with me on Late Lunch. Check her out, the Matchmaker. Oh, it's matchmaker.ie, isn't it?
The Matchmaker.
Very important. That little PHE is very important. The Matchmaker.ie.
Thank you.
I was reading, you write a lot about this as well as working with many, many people. And I want to throw a quote back at you that you've written recently. Okay. It's never been easier to meet someone, but to fall in love today is harder than ever.
Oh, there is so many different avenues out there and a lot of fakeness out there. And because of that, back in the day, your grandmother used to introduce you, you know, your relations would introduce you, friends would introduce you. Nowadays, that doesn't happen. Friends don't introduce friends. I don't know why, it just doesn't happen anymore. And so people are so into themselves that they don't think of other people as much, or they just say leave it to themselves, I'm not going to interfere. But with the likes of Tinder and other apps out there, that's all about hooking up. And it's like, just, you know, it does end up in love for some people, absolutely. But by the time you see 100 people, then you might meet your one out of the 100. And you're going into that situation thinking, is this guy real or is this not real, or is it? So it's so much harder to see, is he just out for a quick fling, or is she just after my money, or is he just after me because of whatever? You know, this comes into the situation with online dating, which makes people put up barriers quicker and just go, I'm not taking this seriously. And then that lack of respect happens throughout the internet because he could be messing me around, she could be messing me around. So the reason people come to me is because they feel that's all out of it. Because they know that, okay, I'm 37, I want kids, I want to settle down. They know the guy I'm going to introduce them to is a guy who wants the same. So values are what is important, not your hobbies, your interests. And that goes back to passions.
Yeah.
So it's your values are what's important, what you want at the end of the day. Whether you're 60 years of age, 70 years or 80 years of age, or 20. It's about what you want in the next 5 years. Because if you're in a relationship for a long term, it's important to say to that person, I want to be with that person in the next 20 years. So I hope he wants to travel the world because I want to travel the world. Because if you change your values and what you want out of life, you won't be going on the same avenue.
So the matching per se, and I know years ago matching was done with dowries and land and this, that, and the other, and that was historically. But I hear what you're saying to me. On that World Wide Web and Tinder and all those apps and dating sites and everything, it's a free for all. You're better narrowing it down and looking, you know what I mean, at someone who's maybe similar interest to yourself.
Yeah.
Have the desires and wants that you want as well.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be the hobbies, but you know, that you want to settle down, you both intend to settle down. The amount of girls that come to me at 39 and say they were in a 7-year relationship, and then I said and he decided he didn't want kids. What? How did you not discuss that in the first couple of weeks? And because of advertising out there, or people telling them, oh, don't mention that you want kids because he'll run a mile. You know, be honest, be genuine, be upfront when you're going into that relationship. You don't have to mention that, oh, listen, you can do it in a different way. You can say, can you imagine having toddlers like that someday? Yeah, that could be fun. You know, you don't need to.
Yes, you suss out the situation without being direct.
Yeah. You don't need to be, if in the first 2-3 weeks you don't want to. So when do you want kids? You know, oh, that's a runner. That's
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
But that's 7 years. Like, can you imagine stringing someone along for that amount of time and then saying good luck?
Yeah.
And the biological clock is ticking.
But imagine not even asking. So it's her fault as much as his in the particular case.
Yeah.
And I said, did you not? And she said, I just presumed he was so good with the nephews and nieces. I presumed. Never presume. If you have your list with your passion board and you know what's important to you, like this tall, dark and handsome, get it out of your head in a second. Honestly, go for that person. Of course you want to be attracted to him. Chemistry is very important. Go for that person that you can actually have a belly giggle with.
I want to ask you something there, because I see a man in with Louise in the other studio. It's Eamon Doyle, our programme controller. And Eamon always says, come on, while I have you here today, Jerry, there's someone for everybody in life. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Someone for everybody. And if you find you're not finding that something, you have to change something about yourself more than anything else. You have to see do your checklist, where you're going wrong. So that's, as the matchmaker, I do people's checklists and see the silly little mistakes people are doing, whether to push people away, and they don't know they're doing it. They absolutely put up barriers. They don't know they've barriers up. You know, I even talk to people about, you know, how to touch people, you know, how to just touch their hand and not overdo it, and not if someone is shy enough. Down to, you know, even how to kiss someone, you know, even how to make that first move. It's so important.
Do you do demos of that, Sharon?
I don't. Yeah.
Sorry, I jest.
I know, I might try
it. We'll give it a go when we're off air.
Yeah.
Anyway, come back to this and this day again, and the whole thing you mentioned there about, you know, the online thing.
Yeah.
It's still best. Now, you do your job and do it really well and are so successful at this. But, you know, even to be out and about, you know, meeting people, you know, face to face.
Oh my gosh.
Those introductions, which you mentioned again. We need to get back to that, don't we?
Well, even with the guy that I mentioned earlier, and I was saying, why don't you take up dancing? And I was talking to him about it. He says, oh, I have 2 left feet. And I said, well, that's one way to lose them. Start dancing, get out there. And he was, because down in Slade, he was saying, oh gosh, the ladies don't go out much, and they don't, you know, it's hard to meet someone. And he said, I find if you go up and you buy someone a couple of drinks at the bar, and then they'd say, thanks for that, and they're gone. And I said, okay, I have these 36 questions to love. Now they're on the matchmaker.ie as well, the website. And if anyone wants them, I can email them to them. But they're brilliant. And it's like, where's your favourite country to visit or county to visit, and why? Because you discover so much in that simple question when you're sitting opposite someone, rather than making a date feel like an interview. Like, where are you from? What do you do? And that's what online dating is about, really. But by the time someone gets to me, they get to read the whole profile about the person. So they have an understanding that they've a lot in common. So when you're out on that date, do ask questions that aren't the norm, like, who's your favourite uncle and why? Now, that's a favourite of mine, because I know why I like that, because unfortunately he passed away this year. But my Uncle Tom, and he was from Cavan, and he was, and he always made me laugh. He actually always would have a story, and most of them were made up stories, but he always made me laugh. So that brings it back to me. So why do I like that? I like people who I can giggle with. And my partner is someone who does that for me. So everyone has something that they're interested in. So if you work out who your favorite uncle is, you'll actually realize that there's something in that personality that you want in your future partner.
Very, very interesting. Just before we finish, I want to have a little bit of music to finish out myself and yourself. You know, Tina Turner sang "What's Love Got to Do with It?"
Yeah.
The bills are to be paid, children arrive, they're to be reared, jobs are to be held down, you name it.
Yeah.
What's your suggestion? How do you give it a little push along, get back to...
Get outside your comfort zone. Do something you've never done before, whether it's back to making a paper flower. Honestly, look it up, Google it. You can make a paper flower. I've actually done it, and it's so easy to do. Just do something that's not the norm. On a day-to-day basis, do turn to that person and genuinely ask them, how did your day go? And look into their eyes and hold their hands. If you don't hold their hands for a while, hold their hands. If you don't give them a hug for a while, say, come over here. Let me give you a big hug. You know, do something that you haven't done. From a point of view of passion in the bedroom, do kind of start buying little kinkier underwear than you've done it before. It doesn't have to be that much kinkier, but just different to what you do. You know, so do try experimenting and stepping outside your comfort zone.
Shake it up this Valentine's, and remember, it's all about passion. Sharon says it today. Go to it. Thank you for joining me, and they can find out more about you, thematchmaker.ie. Check her out.
Thank you.
See you again soon.
Great.
Thanks for coming in to me. And we're going out from Sharon with a song that I absolutely love, and I dedicate it to everybody out there today. It's John Legend and All of Me.
Ah, that's lovely.
Brilliant.